We were in a dangerous neighborhood, and we saw an old building. It was not far away. We arrived until night was falling. It was a strangely house. Juan, my servant, carried me inside. I was so badly hurt that I would die if we stayed out all night. Juan told me.
People were living here until a very short time ago. They left in a hurry.
He helped me to lie down on the bed. There were a lot of very fine modern pictures in this room. I looked at them for a while in the dim. I asked Juan to give me a light.
When he told me that, and I took him the light, I saw he was looking at the picture and reading a little book, where there were the stories of every picture. And suddenly, like he was dying, he fell asleep for a long, long time.
I saw more pictures, and among them there was a portrait of a young woman. As soon as I saw it, I closed my eyes. Keeping my eyes closed, I tried to understand why. Why did I suddenly close my eyes like that? Then I realized I did it to give myself time. I needed time to think. Was I sure that I really saw what I thought I saw? Was I dreaming? No, I was suddenly very awake. I waited until I was calm again. Then I opened my eyes and I looked a second time. No, there was no mistake. My eyes were saying what they saw the first time, only seconds before. The pictures, as I said, was a portrait. It was oval in shape and showed the head and shoulders of a young woman. I stayed for perhaps an hour, half sitting, half lying, never taking my eyes off the portrait. I moved the lamp back to where it was before. The portrait was now hidden in the darkness again. Quickly, I looked through the book until I found the history of the oval portrait. I read these words.
She was a beautiful young flower and always so happy. Yes, she was happy until that evil day when she saw and loved the painter of her portrait. They were married, but sadly, he already had a wife, his work. His painting was more important to him than anything in the world. Before, she was all light and smiles. She loved everything in the world. Now, she loved all things but one, her husband's work. His painting was her only enemy, and she began to hate the paintings that kept her husband away from her. And so it was a terrible thing when he told her that he wanted to paint his young wife's portrait. For weeks, she sat in the tall, dark room while he worked. He was a silent man, always working, always lost in his wild, secret dreams. She sat still, always smiling, never moving, while he painted her hour after hour, day after day. He did not see that she was growing weaker with every day. He never noticed that she was not healthy anymore and not happy anymore. The change was happening in front of his eyes, but he did not see it. But she went on smiling. She never stopped smiling because she saw that her husband, who was not very famous, enjoyed his work so much. He worked day and night, painting the portrait of the woman he loved. And as he painted, the woman who loved him grew slowly weaker and sadder. Several people saw the half-finished picture. They told the painter how wonderful it was, speaking slowly as he worked. They say the portrait showed how much he loved his beautiful wife. Silently, she sat in front of her husband and his visitors, hearing and seeing nothing now. The world was coming near an end. He did not welcome visitors in the room anymore. A terrible fire was burning inside him now. He was wild, almost mad with his work. His eyes almost never left the painting now, even to look at his wife's face. Her face was as white as snow. The painter did not see that the color he was painting were no longer there in the real face.
Many more weeks passed until one day, in the middle of winter, he finished the portrait. He touched the last paint onto her lips. He put the last thin line of color on an eye. Then he stood back and looked at the finished work. As he looked, he began to shake. All color left his face. With his eyes on the portrait, he cried out to the world, "This woman is not made of paint. She's alive." Then he turned suddenly to look at the woman he loved so much. She was dead.